What if what you consider as demonic, what you consider as black magic, what you consider as evil, as satanic, as something that is born of the underworld, is actually as a result of the evolution of consciousness, of the interplay between rajas, tamas and the sattva guna, the interplay of all three gunas, or quite simply a case of an experience of a pure consciousness that wanted to know itself. The experiences of getting to know the self, but because of the illusion created by the experiences, which then led us to believe that we are the experience and we are the creators of the experience, as soon as we started to identify with the experience, we then got lost with the experience. Now, in so doing, as consciousness begins to want to know itself, it loses its initial desire to want to know itself, and it loses its very essence in what it is. So it forgets what it really is, and two, it begins to identify with its manifestation, because that is the closest thing that it's got to have a grip on. Yeah, something to hold on to, which will be the manifest reality. Now, as we have been doing this from before time was created, before it came to this physical reality, before we came to be these creatures, as everything was burst forth and we all started to have these different experiences, and the ego started to talk to itself. It wanted to know itself, not as the original, but what it came to now identify itself, which was the individuated form of the self, or rather the self without an experience, the self without an identity, the self without a concept of itself. So if you like, a blank page, yeah, just a blank space. Now, because the evolution of consciousness started to happen, as a result, when the ego starts to develop, within us, we started to develop the opposite of that, which came about as a result of limitation. So we say the opposite of love is fear, the very basic thing. And then as you want to get more powerful, you get greed, lust, yeah, hatred, and you see all the sort of atrocities that you see around in the world that we cannot explain as being humane or being benevolent or being kind or even being spiritual, which is why eventually, as things went by, even spirituality started to become recognized as, not angry, as not it is only light, it is only love. And so by doing that, rather than working through these demons that we had ourselves created, which are the demons in us, yeah, we started to bypass, and then we developed this high ground of morality, this high ground of how things should be. And so you have people behind the doors, yeah, that will engage in all sorts of things because you've not worked through the demon in you. And as a result of the times that we live in and this spiritual awakening that everybody is going through, most of the planet is going through that, although it may not seem like it, but the grand awakening that has been taking place at an accelerated pace since 2012. In fact, much before then, a lot of us were being prepared for this. As a result of that, we are now beginning to work through. Some of you have already worked through the demons. Some of you who would still be coming into this, and even those of you who are still in transition in the awakening, will still identify something that is demonic, something that is evil, as something that is a force that is outside of us, that is in control of the other side against us. Now, going back into how the demons came to be. Are demons real? Yes, as real as anything else is in this experience, so is that other side. But that other side is our very own creation that comes when consciousness starts to get fragmented, when consciousness starts to experience itself as limited. When it starts to experience itself as limited, it then wants to find whatever way it can to survive, to ensure that it is still around. Now, when this happens at the very basic level, let's just take fear as an example. Anything, if you're fearful of losing your life, if you're fearful of losing material comforts, whatever you're fearful of, there will be certain things in us that develop. You might have greed, you might have anger, you might have certain things that fear. Now, if you think about demons, if you think about the devil, there will always be a demon of lust, a demon of anger, a demon of enmity. There will be various things, a demon of malice. And if you go back to Durga Saptashati, for example, you'll go back to the various demons that are also mentioned in that. You go to Chandi Divar, you go to various scriptures, you go to various comparisons, and you're always going to find this war between good and evil, and that good and evil is duality, non-duality, duality. As long as there is a duality, there will always have this happening, as long as also we've steered away from this. Now, when that fear then starts to develop, at the beginning, it is something that is just, you've given birth to it, it's there. But with the passing of time, the more energy you give it, it literally starts to become an independent organism. Now, this is very similar to what we call egregious energy, the egregores. Our thoughts, our thoughts that are limiting, our emotions, our feelings, anything that we then carry on focusing. Now imagine, as a collective consciousness, when the entire collective, it'll have an average. Let's say we average out the entire consciousness on just planet Earth. It will have more of this and less of that. And in that, there will be different individuated versions of that demonizing or that demonic entities that then slowly turn into their own. So it is like their own consciousness. They develop their own consciousness so that they are not so dependent now on whether you feed them or not. Now, when this happens, just as we would then want to develop our consciousness, you want to evolve, you want to carry on, so does the demon then. So does that demon that is born of us, and it is our creation that then becomes independent. And as it is being like that, it wants more energy. Then this is where it then starts to feed off on different things, and to ensure that it has a lifetime supply of this battery, this power, that matrix or that kind of consciousness will have to be maintained at a particular level. So So you see, most of you who are light workers, most of you who have gone through an awakening, and you are going through this beautiful time when you're getting to know yourself, you're realizing that, goodness, we have all this power, that we are these beautiful stars. When you get to know all that, you are riddled with, am I having a psychic attack? Is somebody doing some black magic on me? Or is this happening or that happening? You'll suddenly have this kind of feeling that you're being bombarded by negative entities. And that is not untrue. Of course, it is going to happen, because we have demons that were born of us, demons that are our own demons, which is why we say face your demon. So when this happens, we literally face it. And as we face it, it doesn't have any power over us, it doesn't have any control, and you can get on with your awakening. But when we deny, one, its existence, two, deny any culpability. Culpability means that you're not taking responsibility for this. And two, you don't want to engage or indulge with the idea that you are potentially a breeding ground for this. And it may not be from now, it could be from before, when something has been set out. There is something in you that created this thought, or that created this sort of egregious energy that is now out there working on its own. It now is not depending on somebody else's will to make it want to work. So it's not taking its orders from outside of it now. It is itself now independent, which then becomes an entity on its own, and it wants to feed. Now, for those of you who are in transition and you are awakening, you are like this newborn, exciting source of this energy for these demons. Because when we meditate, or when we're able to tap into deeper brain waves, our aura is open, our space is open, so we're not sealed anymore. When we are that delicate and we are so vulnerable, it is then very easy for us to become usurped in our energy, and so we might end up feeling very, very depleted. For you, the awakener, it is essential that you maintain a level of awareness, and you realize that you are the awareness that is watching itself through the body that you have. So that feeling, when you can observe yourself, it is. So when you're in tune with that, you can then see what is happening with you. So the demons that we face on the outside are the demons that we have ourselves created over eons. And to be able to deal with them, we start to deal with them on a microcosmic level, which is you, this organism, this small organism first. And as you do this, and when there's so many of us and enough of us, this is where we then develop enough battery life in us to be able to keep those demons at bay and even reduce them to ashes. Sending you so much love as always. Remember, you're more than any demon will ever be. Lots of love.